Hi everybody. Um, I want to show off the Maker tool for my ikfkMaster tool. Um, this will build rigs, or not? It doesn't build rigs. It builds ikfk chains that ikfkMaster can see and can recognize and can control. Um, I'm going to set up the exact same rig or exact same mesh and bones that I used in that animation that started off this video. And I think I'm going to do this in two parts. Try to do two shorter videos. The first one, I'm going to do the basic setup, and then I'm going to do some finessing in the second video. Uh, so I'm going to just go through this step by step and try to explain what's going on as I do it and what this thing is. So I'm going to start by loading in the mesh. So here it is. Now I've done some preliminary preparations on him. He's got skelegons in him, and I've done some weight mapping, and his skelegons are named appropriately, and they're rotated appropriately, and all that. I've already checked all that. So without further ado, let's bring his skelegons in. So let's convert his skeletons into bones. There are his skelegons, and I'm going to start by just doing some very basic cleanup in the scene, or just some setup. First things first, so I don't keep selecting, I'm going to turn off the selectability of the actual mesh. All right, so as you can see here, his body, that bone, he's got four things sharing in the ground space. So right now I can move his spine and his legs don't follow. So I want to fix that first and foremost. So now his everything is parented to body one, that bone. That's the first thing to do. Second thing to do, which I'll show you actually why. Let's just pretend that we didn't have to do it. Let's try setting up the, oh crap. Let's try setting up the, using the tool. So it's called make ikfk. I'm going to try and push it. I'm going to try and get it started, and you'll see something's going to happen. All right, I got an error message. Now, this error message says that the selection is not a valid chain. It says that right arm 3, which would be that one right there, does not have an x and y position of 0. Now, that's awful strange, because if I look at it, it sure looks like it has a position of 0. The thing is that skelegons, when brought in from Modeler, often have microscopic tiny rotations or tiny positions and offsets in them. For example, it says -0. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So obviously it's minus something very small that is so small that it is rounded down to 0. But my tool, the maker, wants it at 0. So what I'm going to do is select everything except the very first bone, and I'm going to manually zero out everything to make sure it is 0. Nothing will change in the scene, but there have been changes. The microscopic offsets are no longer there. So now we can run the tool. And here's what you get. It is I'm actually going to close the scene editor because we don't need that right now. It is this little window. Gives you some options. Tells you what it's going to do. And I'll go through them. The first one is the type of chain that it wants to make. You can either do a simple IK. If you have a three, the options available vary depending on the number of bones you have in your selection. But if you have 3 bones selected, it'll give the option of doing a simple ikfk, which has no pole vector. It's good for some things like tails. I'll use it for the tail, so you'll see. But for a limb, you generally want a rotate plane style ikfk, and that's the classic setup where you have a null around the elbow that lets you rotate the arm, and that's the way you like it. You can choose either to have your FK controllers be bones or nulls. This might perhaps should say FK controllers, but it means FK controllers. You can, it says here, so maybe it explains everything. Nulls obviously will give you nulls. Bones will actually take these bones that you have selected and make them your FK controllers. I'm going to leave them as bones because it's simpler, and that's exactly the way I did it in the video, so I want to make it the same way. And then for the ikfkMaster setup, you can choose names. Now these are the sort of the tags or names. They're just the nomenclature that ikfkMaster needs to work. You can either decide to put that in the names of the objects or the tags. Now when I select names here, you'll see that it gives me some errors, and it's doing that because my bones are part of a mesh, not a null. I must use tags. The reason that happens is because Lightwave can't rename, or Layout can't rename a mesh. Meshes are separate files. So if I have a mesh, my bones in a mesh, it won't let me use tags. If they're under a null, I can use tags. So, or I can use names, but I'm going to use tags. And since I've used this tool before, it's already sort of saved the name of my character. Fat Cat's what I want it to be called, but this is definitely not his head. So I'm going to rename this to right arm. You have to excuse my cursor disappears. I think it has something to do with the recording software, but whatever. And then the end orient is another important feature. I have three options. None. If it's none, it just means that the hand bone is going to follow whatever the rotation of the second to last bone is. That's no good. You can have same as item. This is a pretty typical setup. You have the IK goal that you can then rotate, and the hand will follow it. Personally, I don't like that setup as much as a target and pull setup for the hand. Target and pull setup will give you two additional controllers, one for the pull for the hand and one for the target for the hand. The reason I like this setup is it is gimbal lock free, and you don't have to deal with an offset controller or anything like that. I think it's cleaner. I think it's better. I'm going to use this one, and it's also what I use for the video. So yeah, that's how it is. So once you've got all that set up, you just hit OK, and as you can see, it gives you some stuff. It gives you a controller there. Gives you that controller that twists the hand, and it gives you an elbow twist, which you can't see doing very much because the arm is straight. And this, I mean, I could show it to you, but I'll show it to you at the end. This is all ikfkMaster compatible already. No special stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do this for the rest of the limbs. So I'm going to take the other arm, do the same thing, make ikfk. Let's make that left arm. Left arm. See, now I have a cursor. I don't know what the deal is. So same deal. Let's see. If you notice there, it gave me an error when it said right arm. It won't let you make two IK chains in the same character, with the same owner, with the same group. So you need to, it enforces good nomenclature on you, or good naming. So do that. Okay. Do the same with the legs. Notice I'm selecting all three bones. I need to make sure to do that. You need to make sure to select all three. Where are we? Make ikfk. That would be right leg, right leg. So, whoop. And do the other one. Make ikfk, left leg, left leg. Whoop. So, now I'm going to go ahead and do the tail. Let's grab all the tail bones and do it again. Make ikfk. Now in this case, I don't have the option of doing a rotate plane IK. It seemed to me that in a multi-bone setup like this, a rotate plane IK was not really something you'd want. Maybe people want it. I've just basically decided that it's not. Yeah, who knows? If people request it, maybe I'll add it. But right now, I think this is good enough. Simple IK, can't call it the left leg, won't let me, so let's call it tail. Seems like a logical name. Now in the end orient on this one, I don't want an end orient. It's the tail, so I don't care about the last bone. That just can follow the previous bone. Actually, if I really wanted to do this super well, I would actually have a tiny little bone at the end that would have a 0 length, and I'd include that, so my goal would be here. My goal is going to be here. That's fine. It's exactly how it was in the video. It works well enough. So, okay. Boop. So now I got a tail. I got one more I'm going to do. I'm going to do a head. Now, this obviously isn't an ikfk chain. It's one bone. But you can kind of, it lets you fudge it. If you have one bone selected, it'll give you the option of making just a simple target vector, or target setup. Sort of a, you call it ikfk target setup. But I'm going to do a target and a pole. So what this is going to give me, it's going to give me a null up at the top of the head that tells me where up is, and one out front that tells me where he's looking, which I can then turn on and off. So either he can look around in world space, his head can follow, a camera or another person, or his head can be governed by FK. Let's rename that head. And okay. Pooja! There we go. we have all of the different things, and you can see if I, it all works. I got that. He's got legs. He's got this, and I can move his body, and you'll see it's like, oh no, doesn't work. The reason for that is this is not an auto rigger. You still have to do some stuff yourself. So what you got to do is do some basic parenting. Now, if you look here, this is what it spit out, all this stuff. It's just sort of, all the IK goals, it just kind of dumps in the scene root. So the first thing we want to do is, I suggest we put those, actually, you know what, I'm going to do this at the 0 frame just in case. Let's get a new null. Let's call this fat cat IK goals. And let's take all of these guys here. Make sure that you don't have them open. You just want the top level here. So fat cat, all that stuff that says IK on it, all the goals, and just like throw it in here in the goals. So that cleans things up enormously right now. They're all there. Nothing's, and this thing, and then just go ahead and lock that. You don't need this, and we don't need to see it either. This is just a storage container for all the goals. The other thing we need to do is then set up the parenting for the IK rigs. Each of these is the IK goals for the chain. So we've got, like, here's the IK chain for the left arm, and there is the switch. And so we need to go and take those and put them where they need to be, so that they can be, they can move with these bones in the middle, which are the FK controllers. All right, let's see. So we got the head. Head's going to go under the body too, next to the actual FK head. Let's put that there. Left arm's going to go under the left clav. The left leg's going to go under the left hip. Now, you can see I named my skeleton, so it's a lot easier to do if you have names. Otherwise, it's a real pain because everything's called just like bone 01 parentheses 4 or something, and it's enough to drive you insane if that's all you've got to deal with. And the tail also goes onto the butt, of course. So now it should work. Yeah, it's working all right. And if everything is as it should be, the IKFK switching should work. So let's turn on IKFK and hand and try switching. Voila! Switching works. Everything is as it should be. Yeah, all those spinning nulls, that's because I have match pose on. If you watch my last video, that's what's going on. Doesn't matter. It's only the positions that matter for those, but it synced everything in the entire rig. So that's that. How long have I been doing this? That's the basic thing. The next video is going to be just the kind of the finessing it, making it nicer, and just some other stuff. And so I'll show you again. This plugin can also be found on my website again. Not that script. I'm going to show that one in the next video. Here, right here, it's got the same old guy showing the instructions for how to set it up. Pretty simple to follow. Again, I pretty much explained everything here in the video, but this goes into more detail, maybe, or at least it's written down so it's easier to follow. A couple of gotchas that you might need to think about. That's that. So yeah, if you like, if you want to try this, download this. It's really easy to set up, and you can get it here. And as I said in the last video, feel free to donate if you feel like my tools are worth anything for you. You don't have to. I'm not asking for, not demanding donations, but I am asking. Here it is, just up at the top. So just download it. My next video, I'm going to show you how to finesse this, make it a little nicer. And I'm also going to show you this one, which is part of that, my tag tool. Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm going to make my next video right now, actually.